was a Thursday morning and I had just finished watching the 5th season of Better Call Saul. Shortly after, I started getting bored out of my mind, so I began to look for something to do. Going outside was out of the question, as that one funny looking circle in the sky was emitting heat so strong it would put an old bakery to shame. I'm telling you, it was hot outside. So I started looking through my library of games until I finally settled on selling my soul to Lord Gaben by playing some CSGO. Booted up the game, queued, couldn't find a match. Error says couldn't connect to CSGO servers. But funnily enough, because of that error, I got to experience one of the best indie games of all time, as I closed Counter-Strike and instead launched Katana Zero. Coming off as a huge fan of Hotline Miami, I felt like this game was made for me. It has all the things my Hotline Miami obsessed brain wanted. You got the other playable character with a different playstyle. You got a mysterious figure that haunts you and foreshadows future events. Calm apartment segments that break up the pace. A what the fuck story related to a war. A message about violence. Doors. And a soundtrack so good it makes you both wanna punch something and contemplate life. Katana Zero is the prime example of taking just the right amount of inspiration and using that to correctly build a unique identity. It's not often that a game keeps me stuck to my chair for 4 straight hours. I'm talking no food, no water, or bathroom breaks until the credits started rolling. And in the case of that happening, I know for a fact that I just experienced an instant classic. So, the game, what is it about? Well, I'm glad you asked. Katana Zero is a game where you're a time-manipulating samurai with some serious dementia. To put it simply, you play as your grandpa with a sword. Katana Zero is a game that do be a little bit wild in. The moment you start the game, you get this feeling of uneasiness. The story doesn't really tell you anything at the start, and when it does, it's all very vague, and it leaves the player to instead fill in the blanks, which I like. So naturally, you'll voice a lot of concerns, like who's this Russian guy? Why can I reset time? What are the nightmares really about? Why am I taking these contracts? Who's this little girl? Who's my psychiatrist? And as you're asking these questions, the game starts answering them, and suddenly the story starts connecting and it becomes this whole conflict about an old war, a drug that allows you to look into the future, super soldiers, government experiments, secret organizations. V comes in and asks you to snort some cocaine with him. The nightmares are true? Life and death? Do you enjoy hurting other— Who the f— There's a lot going on in Katana Zero's story. It's honestly hard for me to describe. That being said, I will proceed to try and summarize the whole thing in under 2 minutes. Okay, so basically our protagonist is a hired assassin working under the government to get rid of drug trafficking in District 13. Contracts are assigned to Zero and he completes them. However, soon you start to realize that all your contracts are connected by Chronos. Chronos is a drug created by the government that allows its carrier to essentially see into the future, rewind time, gain hyperfocus, and also have extremely high reaction speeds. But big reveal, turns out that the contracts are all targeting people who know of Chronos' existence. See, the primary focus of Chronos was to create super soldiers that could accomplish the toughest of missions. The project was called Project Null. So these Null were deployed in the new Mecha War, but were pulled back because they were like, fuck them kids, and they went full Vietnam. Then the Null were sent home, but it turns out that there are side effects for Chronos. If you die, you basically get stuck in an infinite loop watching yourself die over and over and over again, and the lack of it causes its subjects to die. Also, you hallucinate and trip if you don't get your daily dose. Here's where the game actually takes place, with Zero being one of the war veterans. He loses his memory after the war and the government basically manipulates him into doing their bidding by taking out everyone who's connected to the Null project. During his contracts he meets with V, the Russian funny guy who clears out that they want to bring back Chronos, and then you gotta kill this motherfucker. So you chase him out, but turns out there's more than one of you, and suddenly another Null named the Dragon appeared and kills V. Then you get a phone call pointing you to the birthplace of Chronos. There you meet Leonardo. Leonardo DiCaprio here is the creator of Chronos, so you open up the pod he's in, and he naturally dies of old age. Then you head to some place that's supposed to give you answers, and you fight a null like you. Then you open up the vault to finally reveal a family which restores Zero's memory. And it turns out he wasn't just some random war veteran, but actually one of the super soldiers that said fuck him kids. And so there was a dragon, and he was your buddy. And it turns out that the government ordered him and the null to actually commit Vietnam. And so you go back to your psychiatrist and he becomes Mad Cthulhu. But oh, it turns out it's just hallucinations because no Kronos, no Monos. Then we see a post-credit scene with Snow. Fuck, I forgot to mention Snow. Okay, so she's with V and she's against the government, and she has Kronos. So you see her speaking to her boss, and he says they're gonna go to war with the government, and then the game ends. And also there's a plot with the little girl that I forgot to explain. Okay, that was absolutely horrible. If you understood nothing of what I just said, then play the fucking game. Or just watch this 4-minute video that perfectly summarizes the story. Now, why didn't I just point you to that video in the first place instead of wasting all that time? So overall, the plot is multi-dimensional, complex, and intriguing, one which I recommend the game solely due to it. To complement the fantastic story, you got the dialogue boxes, and boy oh boy are they a fine feature of this game. Basically how they work is you got this red line and a white line. The red line acts as a skip dialogue button. However, it's not just any regular skip dialogue button, it is the definitive skip button. Spamming the red dialogue option results in characters getting pissed off at you. Some of them will even tell you to stop doing it. And let me say this, never in my life would I have thought a skip button could be implemented into a story. So Akisoft, you have my respect. Now where was I? Oh yeah, the white line, right. Waiting for the white line, however, displays a bunch of different dialogue options, and they're all beautifully written. I honestly had a blast reading through all the different choices to pick from, especially now that I'm replaying it, I appreciate it even more, because they do in fact add a lot of replay value to the game. So yeah, good shit. However, if the story is not the reason for you to come back to this game, then the rest of the game will be that reason. The reason why I didn't split these two into different segments is because with games like Katana Zero and Hotline Miami, music and gameplay coexist together like my fingers. You can sacrifice a couple of them, but then you look like a ninja turtle and you can't grab stuff correctly. I don't know where I'm going with this, honestly. What I'm saying is that both elements connect perfectly. I mean, your character literally turns on the music before you start engaging in the combat, and it really sets you in the mood to just keep going. And I say keep going because the game is a bit difficult, but the difficulty is part of the experience with all the trial and error, so you will fail and fail and fail and fail until you finally prevail. But man, let me tell you, when you actually prevail, you will feel like a total beast, just dodging everything thrown at you, remembering the level pattern correctly, enemy placements, and then slicing your way through it, killing enemies left and right. And that's what makes this game so special, using the 4 extremely fun tools and mechanics the game provides to perfect and solve the combat puzzle. But, just when you start settling in and getting comfortable with the game's mechanics, you think you've mastered the game, Katana Zero throws some of the most bullshit encounters at you, especially the last fight with the Null. She has more tools than you, she's faster and stronger, yet again, you can't help but try again and again and again until you perfect her pattern and finally defeat her. It's fucking pixel art neo-noir, come on, it's beautiful. I basically view Katana Zero as the perfect game. The art style is beautiful, the music is both relaxing and adrenaline inducing, the gameplay keeps you fired up, and extra points for the ludonarrative harmony, cause you know me, I like that shit. The only complaint I really have is that I want more of the game. Which is not really a complaint, it's just that the game is so good that I want to continue playing. And with the upcoming DLC, that might scratch my itch, we never know, most likely. So, if you've yet to play Katana Zero, do yourself a favor, open that store and get yourself a copy. It is truly one of the most unique games I've ever played.